Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spooky Den with Lily and Jenn.
Woo!
Welcome back. Woohoo! This is our second episode ever. We're so excited to be here. We're so excited to have you here. Um, and today we decided we were going to read some creepy encounters off of Reddit. So,
Oh, good old Reddit.
yeah, yeah, good old Reddit. We love it. Uh, so these are not our personal experiences, but they're pretty freaking creepy. I've only read the titles of them, but the titles sound creepy. So, um, we shall get right into that. How's that?
Absolutely fantastic. All right.
Hmm.
And I will start us off. So this one is two men followed me on a dark street at 2:30 in the morning. How spooky is that? I would
That's
probably pee my
creepy.
pants.
Yeah,
All
I would too.
right. All right. So let's get started. Story mode. I would consider myself a night owl. I like staying up as much as possible at night. Unfortunately, this can cause some problems. I got home from working late, and my dog was really restless, and to solve this, I take him on a walk, and he calms down. It was almost 2 a.m. at this point, and I had some worries going out at this time. But I remembered that I lived in a safe city and a neighborhood that I had gone out before at night, although nothing ever this late. I put on his leash and we leave my house. After a few seconds of walking on the sidewalk in the dark with just my flashlight illuminating my surroundings, I hear two young men talking and I could hear them walking on the other side of the sidewalk behind me. My heart stopped and my throat got tight. What were the odds that I crossed paths with someone right at this time of hour and in such a vulnerable position? I tried to keep my cool and continued walking at a faster pace, trying to think of what I should do. Even worse, I then heard the men cross the street, and they were now behind me. There was probably a 4-second sprint away from me, and I started to mentally shit my pants.
Oh my god.
And the craziest thing that happens, one of them starts making a growling noise. Honey.
No, no, I'm
At
good.
this point, my fight or flight and adrenaline kicked in, and I chose flight. I knew running would be a dumb idea because it would escalate the situation, so I just continued to speed walk for a minute until finally I got on a main street with lights and some cars. The growling and following behind me continued until I reached this point, and I noticed that they stopped and turned back. I was extremely thankful to the universe that nothing happened, and I hid near a building until it felt safe enough to walk back to my house from a different path. The walk home was sketchy as it was in near pitch black. I was extremely paranoid, and I wasn't sure that they had left. But I didn't see them, booked it, and got back home safely. My first reaction to the situation where they were just some dumb teenagers trying to scare me or something. But the more I think about it, the more it scares me. Who is that messed up that they are walking in the dead middle of the night, purposefully following somebody in the dark and making growling noises to scare them? Always, thankfully, I'm safe and home now, and I will no longer be walking at night.
Oh my god. That is creepy. If I
That
mean
is
the
pretty
growling
creepy.
is overkill.
I
Like
know. Like, come on now. That's so freaking stupid. I hate people like that. I
I know.
do.
I know.
I mean, I've had people do that to me in broad daylight. Like, come on. Get
Yeah, I
over
know.
it.
I've had people bark at me, like, and,
Bro.
whistle and things like
Yes.
that. But, like if anyone growled at me, I think I'd turn around and bark at them. I don't
You know what? I had a situation, like a falling or kind of thing.
know.
So I was in Salem with my friend. This was a couple years ago, and we had spent like 2 days out there. It was our second day, and we just kind of felt like we were being watched, but we weren't quite sure. And this is in broad daylight, and some lady like walks up to us, and she goes, "Some guys." like taking pictures of you guys. What? And
Oh
yeah,
my
and we're
god.
not like, in costume or anything. It's Halloween time, so you might expect people to be in costume, but we were not. We were just in regular civilian clothing. And you know what I did? My fight kicks in. So I'm like, hold my purse. So I literally throw her my purse. I take off my shoes and I start running after this motherfucker.
Oh my god.
He ran, he ran so fast. Mind you, I was wearing a dress. I did not care.
Oh my
I was
god.
out. I was like, I'm gonna catch this dude.
That's really funny.
I never saw him again.
I'm not confrontational at all, so I probably would have just been like, "Oh," flipped him off and then got in my car and left or whatever, but um yeah, I don't know. That's creepy though. Um
Yeah.
I had a creepy encounter. I've had 3 creepy encounters actually that I can think
Uh-oh.
of off the top of my head. Um that all start off like a horror movie. And I told this to one of my friends not too long ago and she just didn't know what to say. um
Mhm.
but one of them was that I was at school late at night and probably around 10 o'clock because my friends and I stayed late to study. And so I was walking back to my car, and of course, my friends had all left earlier, and I was just like straggling behind. So I was going to my car, and I basically the parking lot's empty except for one other car that's about, I don't know, it's a pretty, probably a football field distance away from mine,
Oh wow.
on the other side of the parking lot. But so I go to my car and I get in and I just try to start it, and I was like, oh shit, this won't start. So I kind of stopped and went, oh my god, I want my car start, and noticed that the hood was popped.
Hmm.
And I go, oh, crap. And I jumped out of my car. I look around the parking lot and there's somebody over by the other car that's just like standing there and looking over my direction. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I need to get out of here. So I
Wow.
I opened the hood real quick, hit whatever, just like basically tapped whatever I could. I felt something move and
Mm.
shut my hood again, got in my car. It started this time. I took off. I get to an intersection. It was like probably 30 minutes from my house where I went to school. So I was at this intersection and all of a sudden my car just dies. And I'm
Oh
like, "Oh
hell
my god."
no.
I'm like, "Oh my god, what happened? What is this?" So I was like freaking out, and then I tried starting it again and it started again, and I pulled off into the next parking lot and turned my car off, and I'm like, "What the?" And I'm freaking out cuz this has nothing like this has ever happened before to me.
Yeah.
So I'm freaking out and I call my friend's dad, or I call my friend, and she puts her dad on the phone, and I was like, "What do I do? I don't know anything about cars. I just know something moved when I hit the my hand on the thing." And he goes, "Wait, something moved?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, get out, pop your hood." And I was like, "Okay." And I got out and I popped the hood and I'm looking, and he goes, do you see anything like, I guess they were like wires like attached to little squares and like whatever." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Are they all in?" And I was like, pushed them down. I was like, "Oh no." And I snapped into place or whatever when I was pushing them down. And he goes, "Those are your spark plugs." And he goes, "And
Oh.
somebody pulled them out." And I was like,
What the fuck?
so I was freaking out. Who would do that? At that car that was watching me, I was like, what if they did it to try to do something? And I was
Yeah.
like, and I just got out of there right in time. So I was like, that was
That's
one
so
of the creepiest
scary.
things that's ever happened to me because nothing, nothing that bad. And I like think about like if I had just been like, oh yeah, hey, can you help me? I don't know what's wrong with my car, or like, you know.
Yeah.
But my fight or flight kicked in and I chose flight. So I flew the fuck out of there. And
Girl, yes.
yeah, yeah. So that was one of the scariest things I've ever had happen to me. Stranger danger wise, I guess.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Um okay. So I have a story from Reddit. It says, I got a knock on the door in the middle of the night, staying at a cabin in the woods. True story. This says in parentheses. Um, 34 male. All right. So a few years ago, I had had an extremely stressful week at work. So I decided to book a cabin on Airbnb very last minute for the same night on a Friday. Me and the dog packed up and I drove up there about an hour. Oh, sorry. About an hour half away. What? Hold on. Oh,
Some people
me and the
write
dog.
things really weird.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. Um, Me and the dog packed up and I drove up there about an hour half away. That's what it says. Not an hour and a half, just hour half away. Uh, I stopped on the way and got a bottle of wine in a town about 20 minutes from the cabin. Then I went and got food at a restaurant 1 minute down the road. It was very small town vibes. I got to the cabin around 7:45, just enough light out to start a fire, which I did. The cabin was down a gravel road that was about a 5 minute drive from the main road. It was pretty fucking secluded feeling. Even though, in comparison to some actually secluded spots, this was only about 20 minutes from like a gas station. There was no cell service near the cabin. I stopped a minute down the road. Okay, whatever. So let me start over. There was no cell service near the cabin. It stopped a minute down the road in. I didn't mind that because it was nice to decompress. The reviews of the place were all great. It had electricity and a clean, updated bathroom, microwave and fridge, nothing fancy but clean. It had a nice front porch to sit on, and there was windows on every wall of the building to see out into the woods around it. The driveway came up from the backside and the cabin stopped completely alongside the right. We sat around the fire until about 11 to 11:30. I put it out and I go inside. And I go inside in bed with the dog just putting out putzing on my phone. Oh my god. Sorry. I put it out and go inside in bed with the dog just putzing on my phone. The dog just see how that's weird. The
Yes.
dog the dog keeps becoming alert to noises outside, but I took it as it was the woods doing their thing. About 45 minutes into laying in bed, I heard a light knock at the door. To say I was fucking terrified is an understatement. My heart fucking dropped into my gut. I didn't answer, and I heard a light knock again, about 30 seconds later. Now I was wondering if something is like wrong with the Airbnb, and because there's no self service, the owner can't get to me. Did I not notice the place was on fire? I don't know. In this scenario, it all sort of runs through your head fast. The door was solid and locked, but there was the window to the right of it on the porch. I turned the porch light on and peeked my head in the window, and a guy was standing there. He didn't seem scary necessarily. He might have been drunk, but he wasn't like smashing down the door or screaming. He immediately saw me. The windows were like mad old and shitty, so I could tell he'd be able to hear me even though it was closed. I said, "What do you want?" And he notioned his what? And he motioned his herd toward the door to come into the cabin.
Oh, I think it was his
Oh,
head.
head? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, hold on. And he motioned his head toward the door to come into the cabin. I said, why? With an attitude now, who the fuck is this? He says, for sex.
Oh my
Now,
God.
now, in my mind, I'm like, what? I told him, this is highly inappropriate and you need to leave right now. I have a GPS cell phone and will call the police immediately. I didn't have a GPS phone, but I've always been a fast thinker. I hoped it would scare him off. He quickly turned around and left off the porch. The cabin was mostly one open room. I quickly laid down back down in bed, heart pounding. I didn't know if he was going to get a gun, something to break in with. Directly across the bed from me is the window that looks out onto the driveway. I can see the running lights that turn on when your car doesn't have the lights actually on. I could see them backing up. I laid in bed in fear for about 3 to 4 minutes, honestly thinking of stuff I had to use as a weapon. It was COVID times, so I had rubbing alcohol and a lighter right there on my bedside table. My plan was if he got in somehow to light him on fire. Oh my god. I got up after a few minutes and went and pushed a dresser and a chair in front of the door. The cabin was elevated, so I wasn't terribly worried about the windows except the one on the porch. I laid back down in bed, lights off, terrified, and wide awake until the sun came up. He never came back. I packed up and left as soon as it was bright enough and messaged the Airbnb owner as soon as I got cell service. They said that nothing like that had ever happened and they offered to help me file a police report. I didn't
Mhm.
because I lived far away and I think it was a one off thing. Questions to this day for me are, how did he know I was there? All I can think is he followed me from the small town I'd stopped in about 20 minutes away. I am a gay man and I'm not necessarily feminine presenting, but if you have the eye, you can tell. I'm assuming the locals must know there is an Airbnb there too. And number two, how did he manage to get his car, look like truck headlights, down that road quietly and with no lights on? Did he push it the last bit of the way? Did I really not notice the running lights? It was pretty quiet except for woodland noises. I didn't hear anyone pull up or walk up. That's crazy. That's the end of the
That
story.
is that is kind of
Holy crap.
spooky.
That is
Like,
freaking spooky.
I mean, I know secluded cabins because being from Alaska and being in a secluded area where there's just me, somebody pulling in the driveway was really fucking scary. I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I don't know who these people are. They're not my family.
Yeah.
So,
That's so crazy.
like, yeah. And if I was there by myself, mind you, our door doesn't have any deadbolts or anything on it, and it's a latch door. So you could just,
You can get in there with credit card.
yeah. Well, it's not even like that either. You could just get in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Pretty
so
much.
bad. Like you just walk right on in. There's no lock. The only lock is outside, and it's like a, like a general key lock almost. Anyhow, I would put a butter knife in the door and the latch so that way you couldn't really lift it up, but it's not foolproof. You jiggle it enough and it's gonna fall out. So
Yeah, that's true. That's crazy. I can't imagine how. Good thing he had a dog with him, because I would have,
yeah.
like, if I were by myself completely, I would have shit myself. Yeah, like for 100% would have shit myself. um, yeah, that's crazy though. All right,
Yeah. All
you have
right.
another one, right?
Yes, I do.
All
All
right.
right. Let me pull it up. Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm debating on this one or the other one because A man at the front door seems pretty creepy.
Yeah, sorry for my illiterate brain, but this person
That's
definitely
alright.
wrote that wrong. I was like,
No,
that
it
doesn't
throws
make
me off
sense.
when people can't frickin' like write.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, the attempted kidnapping seems really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this story is can't stop thinking about my possible assault slash kidnapping attempt. I'm 15 from Mexico, immigrated to Canada when I was 13. We have been staying in my grandparents' house that we used to live in an all right-ish neighborhood in Guadalajara, Mexico, back for the month for a visit. My mother and I were walking towards my childhood park, a block or so away from the house, where my dad and sister would pick us up to head to an extended family member's house. There was a roadblock next to our house, making it hard for them to pick us up from there. My mother had to pop into our neighbor's, family friends, house to return Tupperware. I kept walking towards the park alone. Neither of us thought it was unsafe, as I know the area well, and would only be alone for a few minutes. As I was walking, I realized a man had been smoking outside of his truck, and now in his truck, trailing behind me. I was high key terrified, but I pretended not to see him and kept walking calmly. He kept getting closer, so I picked up the pace. He immediately pulled up next to me, and we started going at my same pace. Right next to me, and oh, okay, see, yeah, this is what I mean. You did the same thing.
Yep.
He immediately pulled up next to me and started going at my pace. I started full on running, to which he jumped out of the car and followed me on barefoot um, for a few meters before getting back into his truck. Eventually, I made it to the park and waited for a bench. Okay, hold on. Girl.
Take your time.
Eventually, I made it to the park and waited on the bench. He kept circling around the park even after my mom came, and I didn't leave until my 6 foot ex military dad came to pick us up. It was so scary, and the vibe in general was really creepy and off. There's been so many missing girls, assaults on this neighborhood, and even a house where some sex trafficked girls were found. And this is one of the pretty okay neighborhoods in the city. I've never been scared before, but after this, I realize I'm really not safe, even as a Mexican myself. It's not like I'm clueless or a foreigner. I've lived here the majority of my life. What should I do? And that's the end of the story.
Oh, damn.
And you know what's even scarier is like, I mean, how they're talking about they're full blood Mexican and they know the area and da 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 da. So I don't know if you know the story about Valeria Marquez, but she's also from Guadalajara, Mexico.
Hmm.
And somebody like walked in, there's a lot of speculation, but somebody literally just walked into the beauty salon that she owns and just shot
What?
her like in front of her friend and on a live stream on TikTok.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah,
didn't
that
hear
was
about that.
fucking horrible.
Yeah, I don't know who
I
that is.
remember yeah, I remember seeing that on the news and like looked into it and it was just freaking awful. There's a lot of speculation. Maybe like the friends were jealous and like had to do with it, or
Mm.
maybe like the ex had a thing to do with it, or maybe all of them had a thing in it. Like
Oh,
it's
God.
so weird. Yeah, like I don't even know where to begin with that.
That's crazy. Um,
Oh.
yeah, that's crazy. And especially I was gonna say she said she lived in Canada. I was like, this happened in Canada? But
Yeah, yeah.
but
I was gonna
but she
say
said
like
she went home to
what?
Mexico and I was like, whoa, okay. Like not anything against Mexico, but it's just like that I mean anything
Yeah,
can happen anywhere, but I hear more stories coming from Mexico than I do from Canada.
yeah. I
Like
feel
I
like
knew
Canada's where all like the weird alien stuff happens.
yeah, that's true.
Ugh. I also
There
have
and then
like an extraterrestrial encounter with Canada.
oh
That's a
really?
time for another story.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do aliens some other day.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
um, yeah, that's crazy. Anyways, so next story for me. Oh God, okay. This one says, I can't tell if I was being hunted or if I'm just paranoid. I, 20 female, experienced something recently that hasn't left my mind. I can't tell if I'm overreacting or if something was actually wrong. Some background. I own a horse and often walk to the barn, which is about an hour away. I enjoy the forest path that leads there. It's around a 30-minute walk to the nearest main road from the barn. The forest itself isn't very large. You could
Mhm.
explore the whole thing in about an hour and a half. I usually stick to the main road since it was little traffic and is more comfortable to walk. One afternoon, with sunset just around the corner, I walked to the barn as always. The area around it is fairly open, with maybe two or three houses. I spotted a man near one of the houses, standing in between bushes, holding a rifle. I should
Mhm.
mention I am from Central Europe, where guns are uncommon and require a license. That alone was strange, since I have only seen a gun once or twice in my life. I tried to brush it off because it looked like a hunting rifle. Still, something about him felt off. The second thing that bothered me was his clothes. He was not wearing camo or anything that suggested he was hunting. Instead, he had on a bright blue hoodie, a cap, and shorts. Hunting in that area did not even make sense. I have been going to this barn for 5 years, and the only wildlife I have ever seen are a few hares. I'm not even sure it's allowed. The forest
Mhm.
is mostly used by riders. Oops, hold on. I don't know. Not even sure it's allowed. The forest is mostly used by riders, their horses, and people going on walks. He was also pacing right in front of a house, which made no sense if he was after birds or other animals. The third detail was that he had some kind of stand for the rifle. He was pacing the fence back and forth like he was trying to find a place to set up. The fence was tall, so the house owners could not have seen him from their side. I stared too long while trying to figure out what he was doing, and he eventually noticed me and looked me in the eyes. I quickly looked down at the ground, trying to act uninterested, but I could feel him staring. When I was about to pass him, I was roughly 3 meters away from him. I saw it from the corner of my eye that he aimed the rifle at me. I froze inside. My survival skills.
Mhm.
Oh, I froze inside. With my survival skills of a vegetable, I told myself to keep walking and prayed he would not do it in public. I did not run because I was afraid he would shoot. My body wanted to collapse, but I forced myself to keep moving. I do not know how long he kept the gun aimed at my back. I was too scared to look behind me. Then I heard the gun cock. My heart dropped. I sped up my pace until I turned the corner. Then I finally sprinted. He did not follow me. I ended up sitting in my horse's stall for what felt like hours. But then it was completely dark. I had not seen a single person at the barn or on the way there. I felt completely alone. I was paranoid he might be waiting somewhere, since I might have seen something I was not supposed to. Eventually, I calmed down enough to leave, and I decided to take the forest path home just in case he really was waiting for me on the road. I have never felt so terrified in my life. My fear of the dark was nothing compared to the fear of being shot on the way home. Every little sound made me jump. I was too scared to use a flashlight, so I moved by memory and faint moonlight. The problem was that the forest path eventually spits you out on the same road I came from. My only other option was a long walk through a wide open field, which I did not want to risk either. I only had a couple hundred meters left of forest path before it ended near the main road where I could take the bus. I took a few steps and then saw a thin red light in the bushes, a laser, I assume, flickering around. It was not aimed directly at me, but 2 or 3 meters to my right. My gut screamed that if I take another step, I die. I have never run faster in my entire life. What is usually a 30-minute walk felt like both seconds and hours. I ran back to the barn, locked myself in the dressing room, and called a close friend of mine to pick me up. There was no way I was going out there again. I still do not know what happened. Maybe it was coincidence. I assumed he would have shot me regardless if he wanted to, or at least would have gone after me. He was a full grown adult man. He would have hunted me down if silencing me, having seen his face, would be the intention. I did not hear the gun cock again, and nobody chased me, but every instinct I had was screaming danger. I still get shivers thinking about it. For anyone who knows anything about guns, is it realistic someone would actually use a laser in this kind of situation? What I saw was definitely not a sniper rifle, and I do not even know if using a laser makes sense since it is so visible in the dark. Was I just connecting dots that were not there, or did I really outrun something life threatening? If anyone needs more info, I will provide what I can, though some of my memory is blurry. I think I involuntarily blocked parts of it out. I'm grateful for any insight I can get.
That's kind of spooky though. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, growing up around big hunting rifles, I mean, even small handguns, none of us ever used a laser. Never mind on somebody in the street. Like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That is so freaking scary.
So a
I
laser's not
honestly,
really.
I would have been so scared. I would have probably just like, I would have froze and would have fell to the ground because like, what else do you do? I would have turned into a fainting goat.
Yeah. So a laser's not really typical for a hunting thing unless they're
No.
hunting with whatever. I don't even know. I can't even name a rifle, never mind
Well, I mean,
everything else,
like,
but
so the only thing that I could think of really, because you can get like cool accessories and stuff for them, right?
mhm.
Um, so a 30-06 is like one of my favorite like big hunting rifles. Okay, but it doesn't have a laser. I mean, again, you can add one, but it doesn't come with one. But it does have like you can get a scope for them. Like, so I'll use like a scope, but like no laser.
Hmm. That's really weird though that it would have a laser. Unless like maybe the guy was like, "Oh, she's scared, so I'm going to scare her with like a laser pointer." Or like
Ugh.
or I
Yeah,
don't know, something.
let's hope that it was a cat laser pointer. But
Yeah, like
like
tease the little cat.
if she, but if she saw a gun, I would think the
Yeah.
worst too,
Yeah.
honestly. And especially what are the odds of some guy just being in a place that doesn't usually see guns, have guns, etc., and then have that and a laser on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
spooky.
that's very spooky. Damn.
Damn.
That took a while to read.
But
Sorry.
also, no, you're good.
All right, so here's a quick one. It says a strange man barged into our house. So when my brother and I were really little, this terrifying thing happened to my mom. We were already in bed when this happened, but we both heard about it from my mom. It was almost 11 p.m., and my mom was watching TV in the living room, and my dad was in the basement on his computer. My parents didn't lock the doors until they went to bed because it was a safe neighborhood. Suddenly, a man barged into the house. My mom was so scared that she froze. He didn't say anything. She barely got out, "What do you want?" when he started walking towards her. She yelled my dad's name, and for the first time, he didn't ask what was up or anything. He just came upstairs, and as soon as the man saw that my mom wasn't alone, then he left very quickly. They called the police, but nothing came of it. My mom was convinced that my dad immediately came upstairs because he could tell something was wrong by her voice. She always thought the man meant to assault her, and knowing my dad was there made him leave. She never saw him again. That's crazy. That's super crazy. I can't believe that.
That is pretty spooky.
Barging into somebody's house. That's crazy.
Dude, and you know what? I actually had like a story kind of like this. I feel like this is so bad. I can't believe I can relate to similar
Oh my god.
a lot of these stories. This is bad. Anyway, so we were living in Michigan, and at the time, I don't know, I was getting picked up from work and whatnot, dropped off because my car was like on the fritz and whatnot. Um, but even so, my dad was working all the time, and so even like when I was like walking home from work, whatever, when I would get back, occasionally there were like, these people who would like be at our door trying to steal our cats. I was like, what the fuck? And so there was actually one time where we were all sitting relatively close to the door, like standing in that area or whatever, and somebody had like actually walked into our place, and we're all like, "What the fuck?"
Oh no.
Dude, you need to get out. It was
That's
so
crazy.
creepy.
That is
Yeah,
creepy.
like who just like helps themselves to somebody else's house? I don't get it.
I don't
You gotta
either.
be some mentally unstable or just like crazy.
Yeah. That I've never got that. I still don't even go into my friends' houses invited. I literally will still knock or ring the doorbell and wait for them to be like, "Yeah, come in." Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's crazy. When I had a couple of friends who would just come to my house and they just walk in and be like, "Oh, what's up?" And how do
yeah,
you even
yeah,
do that? How can you do that into somebody's house? Like,
yeah.
I don't
I
get
had
it.
friends like that. I mean, I still have friends like that. But like it was mostly when we were kids too. But they knew like my parents were fine with it. I was fine with it. So we're just like, when you come here,
Y-
just come on in. And
Yeah,
again,
like as
because
long
like
as
we
you're
were
fine with it.
kids, we just like, better than nothing. Because like there were some really freaky people around that area. I
Yeah.
mean, it's Michigan. Like that's one of the biggest trafficking places is Ohio,
Yeah.
and it's right next to Michigan. So
Yeah.
and there was a couple of situations my little sister was in that was really close to kidnap, so
Oh
as
god.
an adult and as a kid, so it was really not great.
Yeah. Mine were all I think college or older. So I never when I was little. The other one was actually only a few years ago when I lived with my friend out in Charlton and I worked in Auburn. And I was leaving work one day, went to my car and got in, and I was like, oh, somebody left a pamphlet on like the front of my car under the windshield wiper. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I went to like go get out of my car and I saw somebody walking over and I was like, no. So I closed the door, locked my doors, and this guy's approaching my car and he's like, "Oh, hey," and he motions for me to roll down the window, and
Oh, hell no.
cracked I cracked it slightly so I could hear him a little bit. And he goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
roll it down more." I go, "No." I go, "I can hear you." And he goes, "Oh, well," he goes, "I don't know where my car is. Um, I'm like
Where
really
your
drunk."
guards?
Yeah, because he's really drunk. We're next to a Chinese food place, and they're open super late. But he's like, "I'm really drunk. I don't know where my car is. Can you give me a ride somewhere?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Oh, it's only like 5 minutes away." And I go, "I'm not from here. I don't know the roads well enough to do that. I'm sorry." And he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, come on, please." He's like, "I'll pay you." And I was like, "No." I go, "I don't know the roads well enough and I need to be home in like I said like half hour or whatever." And I was like,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry. I was like, "I can't help you." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And then he walks away and he walked off into the woods.
Oh, fuck
And I
that.
was like, but I'm looking around and I'm like creeped out. Oh,
Yeah.
because I'm like, oh, this is really, I don't know. It just freaked me out.
No, that's really
Um,
weird. Who goes just like into the woods after trying to get into somebody's car?
yeah.
I
Um,
hate that.
Me too. Yeah, that's basically that story.
All right,
Um,
so this story is The Man at My Front Door. It says, "Hello everyone. I've been a Reddit lurker for a while now, but never made an account, so I decided why not make an account to share this story. Also, it gave me for any weird formatting. I'm on mobile and I'm not the greatest writer. So this all happened a few months ago, March of this year, I think. And I was up late one night listening to some subliminals, trying to sleep, when suddenly I heard someone banging on my front door. For a split second, I thought someone was banging on mine, my bedroom door in quotes. It is pretty close to the front door. I turned off my subliminal and I sat up in bed listening to this person just banging aggressively on the front door. It didn't sound like they were trying to break in or anything, nor were they yelling, just banging on the door. I stood up and started walking around my room as I was basically trapped there. My anxiety was coming up with the worst possible outcome of the situation. And I was essentially looking around my room for a possible weapon I could use if this person ends up breaking in. After what I think is a few minutes, I heard the sound of police sirens and red and blue lights outside my window. I grabbed my phone and texted my mom to see if she had called the police. I was hesitant to call them myself. I think I was nervous to talk to the dispatcher, to be honest. I didn't have my address memorized. She came down to my room and explained that to me. Apparently, some old guy with a walker was banging on her front door, and the police were now talking with him. I went back upstairs, and her and okay, that's said so weird. I'm gonna reword that.
okay.
I went back upstairs with her, along with my dad and dog, excluding my brother because he was asleep from the window. What, bro? Like asleep from the window? Okay. Backtracking. Excluding my brother because he was asleep from the window, I couldn't really get a view. Okay. Excluding my brother because he was asleep, and from the window, I couldn't really get a good look at the old man. So I never got the chance to see what they looked like. An ambulance came not long after and took the man away, and the police left. They didn't even talk to my parents. They just got in their car and left. We all just went back to sleep after that. To be honest, I don't really know what the guy's deal was. I have a few theories, like maybe he had a mental problem or maybe he had dementia. I really don't know. Anyways, thank you for reading my story. That is
Oh,
pretty creepy.
that is creepy. Super creepy.
Yeah.
All right. I have one last really short one.
Dude.
Okay. So it says, oops, sorry, my voice. Um, says someone came to my house in the middle of the night with my name on a single piece of paper.
That's
That is
fucked up.
that's fucked up. Uh, in general. At like 3 a.m. one night, someone rang the doorbell at my house and my dad answered it. It was a woman wearing a full black dress with her face slightly covered. She had a very large suitcase and she had a piece of paper with my name on it. Just my first name on a piece of paper. And she was asking if I lived here. My dad was freaked out, so he said no and directed her to the police station around the corner. But what does this mean? Why did she just have my name? How did she know my address? The piece of paper had just my first name written on it, which is even more terrifying. When my dad said that I didn't live here, she seemed really confused and just walked off. At 3 a.m. in the morning, though, can someone explain this because I am really scared and don't know what happened? That's super creepy.
That is like, oh my God.
Just if
I mean, I
someone just
know
showed
like
up and was like, "Yeah, here's a piece of paper with your name on it."
that's so freaking weird. And I know like people can get dresses from names or names from addresses or phone numbers or a billion different ways to cross check people's information online now and like you can just find them.
Yeah,
But that's super spooky.
that is spooky. Super
I
spooky.
wonder what they wanted,
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't want to find out.
right?
So I just have one last little personal story because I figured I
Mm,
mentioned the three of them, so I was like, I should just tell this last one anyways. Um,
yeah.
so my third one is the one and only hitchhiker that I've ever picked up. Okay, and this is kind of creepy because it literally starts off like a horror movie. And I was telling
Oh
my
my
friend,
god.
and she's literally like, Jen, 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 I'm so mad at you. What the hell?
Girl.
So this is back like I don't know exactly which year it was, but I know that I was working, I think at Christmas tree shop maybe or something, somewhere that we closed late at night around the holidays. So I was driving home from work and I get onto Sandwich Road and there's the where like what is it called now? Papa Jake's?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that like empty parking lot. It's always an empty parking lot. So Papa Jake's wasn't there at the time. And so I pull off there because I had been driving. It's first of all pitch black out. It's raining. There's basically thunder and lightning. I don't like lightning. So getting me out of the car and during lightning, something was up. So um so I'm driving home. I pull off into Papa Jake's parking lot area and I had noticed my trunk light was on, like the light that says my trunk was open. So I was like, oh, that's weird. I haven't been in my trunk today or yesterday or whatever. It's been a little while since I've opened the trunk. But I was like, what happened? Trunk light is on. So I get out of the car and I go and open my trunk, first of all. It's a tiny trunk. I don't know if you know how big a Volkswagen Beetle convertible trunk is, but it's
Tiny?
tiny. So pretty sure there was nobody in it because nobody could fit in it. But very tiny trunk. So I go and open the trunk and I was like, okay, there's literally nothing in the way, whatever. I slam it shut and I see this guy walking towards me and I was like, oh fuck. So I go to like get back in my car and he's yelling to me and I was like, what what's up? And I was like, stay right there, first of all. I can hear you. And he stops and he goes, oh, do you mind driving me a mile or two down the road? It's raining. He's like, I know. He's like, I'd just rather not walk if I could get a ride. And I was like, okay. And I go, well, I can, but I want you to know that I have a weapon in the car. And he goes, okay. And I was like, all right. I go, it's in my center console. I have a weapon in the car. And he goes, okay. And I go, and I want you to put your backpack in the back seat and keep your hands on the dashboard. And he's like, oh, okay. And he goes, thank you, thank you. So he goes and puts his backpack in the back seat and gets in the car and he puts his hands on the dashboard. And I was like, okay, so he's listening. I was like, this is fine. I'm only going a mile up the road, basically. So, because there's a hotel on Sandwich Road that he was going to, and I was like, it's about a mile or whatever. So the whole time, I'm literally got my hand on the center console and driving basically with one hand. And and he was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I just would rather not walk in this." And I was like, "Oh no, it's okay." And I'm watching him and whatever. Made it to the hotel. He's like, "Thank you so much." Gets out, grabs his bag, shuts the door, walks away. And I was like, I don't know what if anything would have happened differently if I hadn't said that I had a weapon in my center console and kept my
Yeah.
hand there because I didn't have a weapon. I had a box cutter.
Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, but I didn't say it was a gun. I didn't say it was anything. But I was like, if I hadn't said that, what would have happened? Because it
Right.
was very sketchy. And the way he was acting was, oh, of course, or whatever. And I was like, okay, you could just be a nice guy, just needed a ride. But I was like,
But like,
hitchhiking,
especially like these days, you never know.
yeah. And especially it was late at night, dark, raining, all the makings of a horror movie. And I was the
Yeah.
idiot who said, "Yeah, I'll give you a ride." But
I always get paranoid about like picking up hitchhikers.
oh yeah, that's the
So I'm
only
like,
time I've ever done it.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes seeing them here in settlement or something, I'm like, well, maybe. maybe I'll pick them up. Maybe need a ride, but
Yeah.
not particularly.
Yeah. I don't I've never hitchhiked myself. Like hitchhike?
Yeah.
Hitchhiked? Yeah. I've never gone hitchhiking, done hitchhiking or whatever.
Have
I've only
you
picked up one that one time.
have you heard of that? The it's about hitchhiking too. It's back in the 90s, a kid, Christopher McCandless, he went literally hitchhiked all the way to Alaska from Virginia.
Oh yeah.
And it's a pretty good story. If you haven't heard of it, you should look into it. They also made a movie. So
Is it Into the
John
Wild?
Krakauer has a book, there's a movie, and lots of documentaries and stuff. But
Sounds
basically,
good.
what happened was like, he wanted to get out there so bad and whatnot, and he lived a whole, almost a full year or a year and a half or something or whatever, months or craziness, crazy long amount of time with like, hardly anything in the Alaskan wilderness. After he had hitchhiked all the way there,
Are you
he
are you
burned
talking about
all of his cash. He burned all of his credit cards, or he cut them all up and got rid of all of his ID, everything.
are you
Why?
talking about On the Road with Jack Kerouac? Jack Kerouac?
No, no, no. That's
That's On the Road? Or is it Into the Wild?
it's Into the Wild.
Into the Wild. Okay.
Yeah, so freaking good. It's like touching, moving, but also relatable.
Yeah.
Cause like, I fucking hate it here too. Oh my god, nothing's changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
I'm
it's
like,
so
what the
funny. I do
heck?
remember think I do remember watching the movie or at least parts of the movie, but I'll have to
So
watch it again.
good. Literally love that movie. I can watch it over and over again. I've read the book. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in to our second episode with
Yes.
Jen, Spooky, Dan, with Lily.
What?
or we could do. Thank you for tuning into our second episode. And you are watching Lily and Jen, Spooky Den,
Woohoo. Yeah.
featuring my dog, Sika. Say, say woo woo. Oh, Jesus. Let's see if she'll do it. Say woo. Oh my God, she's just like hitting the bed. Do it. Do the thing. Say woo. Okay, that's close enough.
Oh, she said hello. Yeah. That's funny.
Oh my God, look at her. She's crazy. She's big and crazy.
All
Oh.
right. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching if you're on YouTube, even though we don't have video. We're working on it, okay? Uh um yeah, hopefully y'all are will tune in next time and we're going to keep this going. So yeah, till there's nobody listening. Wait, there is already nobody listening. I'm just kidding. Uh
I feel like this channel is going to be something that ages like a fine wine. It might be
yeah.
slow to start, but it will get there.
Yeah, like we do have really cool ideas, but we have to get it
Yeah.
going a little bit first before we can do that. So, um, yeah. So, thanks for listening, and I hope you tune in next time, and we will hear y'all next week. Or
Ow,
I don't know. I don't know
ow,
what to say.
she's eating me.
No, don't eat you. All right. All right. Bye.
Bye.